this video finds you well. This is the first video and probably one of the few that I won't be wearing a hat. I'm not representing anybody but myself today for this one. What we're seeing in the media and on Facebook, social media, and everywhere in between, especially regarding vaccines, is very interesting. And especially interesting from a marketing and advertising and propaganda perspective. And I think people need to understand that. Wellness clinics, medical offices, doctors, nurses, people that do put themselves out there either for a cause or against it or whatever are, like it or not, risking their license and their reputation to either say pro or con or anything in between. My training is in marketing and advertising. In other words, you could say propaganda as well. How to spin something, how to make something positive, or how to sway somebody to act. How to get a customer to convert. I'm seeing a lot of that right now. The media arm, and I have to be careful. Censorship is very real in any of these topics. The media is clearly co-opted in a way I didn't think existed. The journalism I'm seeing isn't dual-sided. They're not considering both situations. They're taking stands to push things. And as a public, we need to understand what's happening and what the motive is. And the reality of the situation is the motive a lot of times is to the shareholders, not to the public. The burden of proof is generally on the manufacturer. But also when you deep dive the FDA, you'll find that they do not have their own laboratories. They're not testing each product by themselves. They rely on the data that they get from whoever is distributing the data and sending in the drug or food or whatever for approval. The presumed safe outline, I believe it's a law in it regards food, it regards most things, that a company can basically presume something safe and get it on the market a lot of times. Needs to be up for review as well. Companies may or may not be acting in the best interest of the public. Single crop agriculture may or may not up for debate. And that's why public discourse is important. May or may not be a good or bad thing. I don't think anybody necessarily thinks vaccines are a bad thing by anything. There's clearly a call for better data. And the CDC did an incredible thing, whether we like it or not. They had an open forum for everybody to watch, where they explicitly confirmed there aren't any placebo-controlled trials on these mandatory vaccines. And then they changed the vaccine schedule. And now they're calling for the placebo-controlled trials. As of today, I saw that the MAHA movement is moving forward and trying to get the placebo-controlled trials done. Great. The burden of proof now rests in the hands of the manufacturers. And we need to call on our legislators to make sure that the FDA is darn well making sure those tests are neutral and show good data and the real data, because our kids deserve it. I'm here as a father, and I fully believe that historically jesters play a crucial role. Even in humor, they are the people that can say anything and everything that is funny or makes sense or should be criticized. As a public, we need to be critical. I heavily invite people to watch Joe Rogan's podcast with Brett Weinstein. That was most recently, it was 2025. It was, I get a timestamp, but at the hour marker 134, start listening to what happened during COVID. People like Dr. McCullough, Dr. Malone, Dr. Pierre Corey, Dr. Rhonda Patrick, Andrew Huberman. There are many biologists and doctors looking to constantly correct themselves and actually give good advice to the public. Peter Attia, there's another one, longevity doctor. You do a very good job of presenting data as they see it, as data is coming in. And I very much hope as we start seeing good data come in, we can see it. Informed consent is very important. And informed consent comes from good data. And I would also urge the public to see what stances people are making, because it should also tell you exactly who you can trust and who you can't. People can be bought. Human beings are not perfect. CNN definitely colored Joe Rogan's face for a reason. And I believe open, positive discourse is important. But I also believe that marketers and advertisers need to start sounding the alarm as they start seeing things that are marketing and advertising related and propaganda related. It's crazy that Russell Brand has blown up, but Russell Brand has become somebody that you can reasonably see as logical, because he's transparent. His mistakes, everything. Same for Joe Rogan. Now, whether or not they're right, whether or not they've gotten it right, is irrelevant. They're at least going to give a reasonable point of view. And if they're paid for, they're paid for. But people willing to go long form on something, even when they're wrong, and have a conversation so you can decide for yourself, that's really important. Understand who the jesters are. People are calling, thinking Tucker Carlson and people like that should be run for office. Well, Tucker Carlson's one of the perfect jesters, whether, whichever side somebody's on. Can he speak on his side of the equation with some sort of reasonable dissonance and actual trustworthy thought process? Is he bought and paid for? I don't necessarily believe he is. Is he wrong sometimes? Maybe. Find the people that we can really trust, and then at the same time understand that we're all human beings too. So we all have to have grace as we watch this unfold. A lot of people are very scared of losing their jobs, losing their time, losing anything. And just like in the AI world, things are going to evolve. Make sure you're ready for it. And make sure you're able to see truth and see little things that make sense. A doctor behind a mask screaming about measles and chickenpox. He should be talking about strengthening our immune systems. What can we do to... I had chickenpox. Everybody had chickenpox when I was a kid. 2 weeks to suck, but then you don't have it again. Yes, you may get shingles when you're an adult, but what is the other risk? Now, if you're immune compromised, 100%, that's a different story. There's nuance. There's nuance in data. Make it a great day. Listen critically.